Good morning, students. Welcome to the live lecture of functional analysis. In the last lecture, we have seen that we have completed that isometric isomorphism theorem. Correct? No? Isometric isomorphism from n into n double star. This we have completed. Okay. Just wait a minute. We have completed this and we have seen the definition of a reflexive space that a non-linear space is called reflexive if a natural embedding J is the symbol we have used, which is from n to n double star. If this mapping is onto, then n is isometrically isomorphic to n double star. Then the space is called as reflexive. Later we were moving ahead towards the open mapping theorem. And the definition of open mapping says that whenever an open set is mapped to an open set, whenever open set is mapped to an open set with a continuous linear transformation, then the mapping is said to be open. To prove this theorem, actually we wanted two lemmas. The first lemma we have proved is SXR is X plus SR, SR is R times S1. The geometrical interpretation also I have told you, right? Okay. The second lemma which we were going to use for this open mapping theorem is if we have B and B dash are the Banach spaces, P is continuous linear transformation, then the image of open sphere centered at origin in B contains an open sphere centered at origin in B dash. This is what we have seen. Okay. Therefore, in today's lecture, we are going for actual theorem, open mapping theorem. Okay. Let me write the statement of this open mapping theorem. If B and B dash are the Banach spaces, B and B dash are the Banach spaces and P is continuous linear transformation. Is continuous linear transformation of B onto B dash, then prove that P is open mapping. What is the essential condition for the mapping to be open? Yes. By this theorem, the essential condition is both the domain and codomain must be the Banach spaces, and this T is a continuous linear transformation of B onto B dash. The continuous linear transformation on Banach space to Banach space with onto mapping is an open mapping. This is what we wanted to show. Okay. As per the definition, the mapping is open if it maps open sets to open set. You know what we will consider? We will consider some open set in the domain and we will show that its T image is open again. Its T image is open. Okay. So for this, let me write let T from B to B dash be continuous linear transformation from B onto B dash. This is what given to us. Okay, no other points are given to it. So this is the only thing we have. Okay. Therefore, the aim is to show that the mapping T is open mapping. Mapping T is open mapping. That is to prove that for every open set, for every open set, let me say some G set, open set G in B, what we have to show its T image. TG is open set in which set? Open set in
B dash.
is it B dash? Yes. This is in B dash. Now if I wanted to show this TG is open, what I have to do? I will take one arbitrary element of this TG and we will show that the arbitrary element is an interior point. And now to show this is an interior point, what we have to do? Yes, if I wanted to start with some y is in TGB arbitrary element, okay, and this element we are interested in showing it is interior. If I wanted to show it is an interior point, what I have to do? I have to show
Neighborhood.
an yes, that is an open sphere, right now?
Yes, ma'am.
centered at Y with some radius say R is contained in TG. This is what an aim. Correct now? What we will do to show this Y is an integral point of TG, we will try to make use of the fact that the set is open set, G is open. Okay. But if Y is an element of TG, what is the meaning? There exists some element say X in G such that Y is equal to TX. Correct no? This is T image of some element. Y is T image of some element in G because Y is belonging to TG. For some say X in G, may I say Y is equal to T of X?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now since G is open, what can I say? Since G is open set. Therefore, may I say this X is an interior point? Open
Yes,
set
ma'am.
in B, this implies there exists a neighborhood that is an open sphere SXR contained in G is an X is an interior point. Correct? No? X is an interior point. This is what our we have in our hand. SXR is contained in G. Now we will just use the two lemmas we have proved. By let me use the first lemma. By lemma 1, what can I say about SXR? How can I write SXR by lemma 1?
X plus S
Very
0 R.
good. Yes. Therefore, may I write SXR is equal to X plus SR. S of 0 R means SR is a small variable, which is contained in one, let me call it as statement number. Is it okay? Shall I write SR is an open sphere centered at origin and etc. etc.
Yes.
Is it a need to write? No,
No,
I
ma'am.
think. Okay. Now let us use simultaneously lemma number 2. What lemma number 2 says that we have an open sphere centered at origin in B, then its T image contains an open sphere centered at origin in B dash. Correct now? So what can I say about this? Let me just show you here. Okay, here in the set B, let this be B dash. Correct. Now what we have just now is XR. Right now, or SR I will write somehow. This SR we have found SR, we have found an open sphere centered at origin in B. Then what about its T image? The T image will contain, this T of SR will contain again an open sphere which is centered at origin. Again, right now, O dash is the center which we are calling. By lemma number 2, what I am writing say, there exists an open sphere. There exists an open sphere. Let me write some S epsilon dash. Dash is a symbol I am using just to mention that this is the open sphere in B dash. Okay. S epsilon dash in B dash such that. What such that? S epsilon dash is contained in T of SR. Is the point clear? By lemma number 2. The image of this open sphere contains an open sphere. Right? This is what we have written. Okay. If S epsilon dash is contained in SR, what about the translation Y plus S epsilon dash? May I say it will be contained in Y plus T of SR. Just a
Yes,
translation we have made. Okay. Again, let me use the lemma number 1 to write Y plus S epsilon dash as S dash of Y epsilon. Is it okay? And this y I will write as t image. Y is y equal to t of x and t of SR. Reason by lemma 1 again. Here we have used lemma, right? Okay. Now knowing t is linear, what can I write about the right hand side? Is it t of x plus SR? Okay. Is it okay?
yes, ma'am. Yes,
Now
ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
look at your statement number 1. X plus SR is contained in G. Then what about T of X plus SR?
T of
Yes, is contained in T of G
yes, ma'am.
by 1. How by 1? Let me just write here. X plus SR is contained in G implies T of x plus SR must be contained in P of G. Now, what we have found then? We have found a open sphere centered at Y with some radius epsilon is contained in PG. Therefore, what we have started with? We have started with Y is an element of PG, and we have shown that a open sphere centered at Y is contained in TG. Therefore, may I say this Y is an interior point? Okay, thus we can write to each point y in Tg, there exists an open sphere in B dash centered at y and contained in Tg. Then what is the nature of your Tg? May I say Tg is an open set. Tg is open set. Now we have started with G is an open set. We have proved Tg an open set. Hence, can I say that the mapping T is an open mapping? Very simple, no? Any difficulty in the proof? If you have, you can ask. Okay, because this is an important aspect of proving the mapping to be an open. It needs only domain and codomain to be Banach spaces, and the mapping is continuous linear transformation. I hope there is no difficulty with the proof. Okay. Now let us go to a next theorem, next important theorem called as Banach's theorem. Stephen Banach itself, he has given the proof of this theorem. This theorem is actually a, you can say, alternative condition for the mapping T inverse to be an open map, T inverse to be continuous. That is, T inverse is continuous, equivalent to T is an open mapping. Let me just write this statement. Okay, what the theorem says that let B and B dash be Banach spaces and P be 1 continuous linear transformation. One continuous linear transformation of B onto B dash. Okay, then prove that P is homeomorphism. What is the definition of homeomorphism? We have seen previously somewhere. Do you remember? I hope I am audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Homeomorphism, the two spaces are topologically isomorphism. We have seen no somewhere.
Yes, ma'am.
What is homeomorphism? Let me just recall. If F is a mapping defined from X to Y, then F is homeomorphism. If F is 1, 2, F and F inverse both are continuous. Correct, no?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now look at the statement. How many conditions are given to us? 1 continuous linearity on 2. 1 continuous 1 on 2 and F continuous are given. Now which condition remains only to show that this mapping is homeomorphism? Which condition is remaining? F inverse is continuous is the condition remaining only. Okay. And here we have said, we wanted to say that with these three conditions also T is homeomorphism. Okay, means it is not given that the inverse mapping is continuous, but still we can say that T is homeomorphism. Because this condition tells you actually T inverse is continuous. Now our aim is to show that how T inverse is continuous. How T inverse is continuous. Therefore, there is another definition of homeomorphism given in the book. What is another definition given? 1 continuous open mapping is also homeomorphism. 1 continuous open mapping is also homeomorphism. Now one may have a question, how that continuous is implied, T inverse is continuous is implied and implied by the mapping is open. No. So let me just tell you a reason quickly. Okay, this is not to be written in the proof. Okay. Now what we were considering the condition, F inverse is continuous. Now it is equivalent to F is an open matrix. Okay, because now in the theorem itself we were going to write down, instead of inverse to be continuous, we were going to write a 1-1 continuous open map. 1-1 continuous open map which is onto is also a homeomorphism. Means which condition I am replacing? I am replacing the condition of F inverse to be continuous by F is an open mapping. Okay, now one has to check how the two conditions are same. F inverse is continuous is same as F is an open mapping. Let us just try to understand how these two conditions are same, or one can say equivalent. Okay, now we know one theorem about the continuity of a function. What is the theorem we know? G is continuous if it is defined from x to y, say. Okay, then what can I say about the open sets? Some G inverse G is open in, yes, open in X whenever
G is open.
G is open in Y, right now? Correct now? That is, this continuous mapping pulls inverse image of open set to be open. Correct now? Are you familiar with this or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, this theorem we are familiar with. G inverse G is open in X whenever capital G is open in Y. Now let me apply the same condition for F inverse is continuous. Suppose if I am defining F is a function from X to Y. Okay, then what will be F inverse? F inverse will be a function from Y to X. Now we will apply this theorem only. What I have to do? I will replace G by F inverse simply. And we have to interchange the positions of X and Y. Correct? Therefore, may I say F inverse. Inverse image of F inverse is open in. Are you getting me? Inverse image of F inverse G is open in.
X.
No, it's in Y. Domain codomain I have changed. Na? Open in Y whenever. Yes. Whenever G is open in
X.
X. Okay. But what is inverse image of F inverse? Is it function
F
itself?
itself.
Therefore, if G is open in Y, whenever G is open in X, whenever I am saying, therefore, can I write G open in X implies if G is open in Y? Correct, na? Therefore, may I say F is open mapping? Correct? Therefore, the condition F inverse is continuous is equivalent. Equivalent to say F is an open mapping. If you understand this concept, let me go for the proof of Banach theorem. The proof is within 2 lines itself. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, how many conditions we have in our hand? Check. We have one continuity, and linear, and onto as well. It remains either we want T inverse is continuous, or one should have T is an open mapping. But what now we have proved? What just now we have proved as an open mapping theorem? If B and B dash are the Banach spaces, then the continuous linear transformation is an open map. What I have to do simply, by open mapping theorem, T is open, and then 1-1 continuous linear open map is an homeomorphism. Hence the proof holds. The proof is within 2 lines only. Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Here I am going to write, we know that 1-1 continuous open map from B onto B dash. Have you seen that I have replaced the condition of inverse to be continuous by open map? B onto B dash is a homeomorphism. is a homeomorphism. This is what we know. But by hypothesis, what we have, or by hypothesis, how many conditions we have? By hypothesis, T is 1 continuous, correct? Yes, linear transformation from B to B dash. Which condition is missing then? Open is the condition missing. But let me just use open mapping theorem. What open mapping theorem tells? By open mapping theorem, T is open mapping, na? T is open. Hence what we have? T is
T is homeomorphism.
1 open, homeomorphism 1 open continuous linear transformation from B on to B dash. This implies T is homeomorphism. Therefore, what is the condition required for homeomorphism now? Condition required for homeomorphism is simply one continuous linear and onto. One continuous linear and onto. Not necessarily we should have the inverse continuous or it's an open mapping. It's sufficient to write this. Okay. This we were going to use while proving the one more important theorem called as closed graph theorem later. Now let us move ahead towards the next point of the syllabus called as closed graph theorem. Okay. We are going to define closed graph theorem. What do you mean by graph of any function? What kind of set it is? Closed graph.
It consists of vertices and edges.
Vertices and edges. Rather, x and y coordinate where y is the image of that point x, right? No?
Yes,
This is the situation I have, and some f is a function given to us. Then what we were going to write? We were going to collect the graph of our function is for the corresponding point, say x1, we were going to find out its f image. Right now, but accordingly we will do the same. Correct? Therefore, may I say these points whichever we were plotting is the graph of your function, and this is nothing but a collection of the points coordinates of the type x of x. So what is the coordinate of this point? This is x3 into x3 comma fx3. No, every point is the coordinate of this type x fx. Is it okay? Therefore, how we were going to define a graph of function? Graph of a function is actually a set. Okay, actually a set where the elements are of this type, where x belongs to whatever the domain of your function is. Correct? Therefore, let me just write the definition of the graph of a function. Definition: graph of T. This is graph of any function, any mapping T. Okay. Now the mapping T we were going to define between two non-linear spaces because we are dealing with the functional analysis. The underlying sets which we were considering are the non-linear spaces. Therefore, here I am going to write let n and n dash be the normed linear spaces and T is defined from n to n dash. Correct? Okay. T is defined from n to n dash. Then the graph of T is graph of capital T is defined to be subset of is it n cross n dash? Correct? Cartesian product we have to consider, no? Which consists of all ordered pairs. All ordered pairs. Is it xtx type?
Yes.
Correct, na? Then it is denoted by. Now in this unit we were going to denote the graph is by Tg. Is it okay? Capital T with suffix G. Thus what we have the set Tg, graph of T as the collection of points xtx such that X is the element of domain. Domain means n here. Correct?
Yes.
Okay. Sometimes the notation used is GP also. Some books were writing TG. Some books were writing GT also. We were going to make use of the notation TG. Okay. Now what we have in our hand now, we have a subset of a Cartesian product n cross n dash. Now we wanted to check whether this set itself is a normed linear space or not. Actually, this is the situation, no? X cross Y. Actually, this is subset of R2, you can say. But we have shown R2 itself is a normal linear space. Under which norm we have shown? R2 distance formula is there. Na? Now, in this subset, in this set TG, our first theorem is to check whether this TG itself is a norm linear space. If it is a norm linear space, which is the norm defined, then we wanted to check whether this is a Banach space as well. The whole discussion is going towards the corresponding set is a Banach space or not. Is that okay? Now, if you look at this kind of, this is my graph as I told you, na? These are the points of your graph. Then in this, if we just say, or let me just write the same symbols, XT, say. Okay. Then how I'm going to write? Suppose this is the point of your graph of T, say TJ I'm going to write. Okay. And here I'm going to write this set as N, this X is as a N axis, so this is, let me write XY itself. This is a subset of a Cartesian product n cross n dash. Okay. This is the point. Now we were going to find out the distance. We were going to find out the distance in this Cartesian product. If I write the coordinate of this point as say xy, then the distance we were calculating is by using this method, this way, this route. First we will go with this route horizontally, then we will reach vertically. Whatever the distance calculated, we were going to assume this as a distance of a point xy from the origin. Okay. Now, if the space n and n dash itself are the non-linear spaces, no doubt x is in n and y is in n dash. Those are itself the non-linear spaces. Therefore, let me call the norm of this distance, let it be norm of x. Correct now? Because this point is an x point and this point is a y point, that we know. And here let this be norm of y. Therefore, what kind of norm we were observing? Norm x plus norm y. Norm x plus norm y. We will check whether it is a norm on your graph of T or not. This is the one norm. Okay, this is one norm we were discussing. What it is? Norm x plus norm of y. If someone is going to define maximum on this, maximum among the two, whichever maximum, norm x or norm y, this is also a norm. Okay. One more with the usual norm p distance formula. Norm x raised to p, norm y raised to p, whole thing raised to 1 by 2. Okay. All these are the norms defined on the graph of a function. And we were going to prove the first one only. The remaining two you can check it later. Is that okay? Okay, let me write the first theorem that this n cross n dash is a normed linear space with this first norm, and then this is a Banach space if and only both n cross n dash are the complete spaces. Let me write the theorem. Is it understood? Graph concept?
Yes, ma'am.
This is the distance we were going to follow in this n cross n dash. Okay. Therefore, let us write the theorem. Let n cross n dash be the non-linear spaces. We'll prove that n cross n dash is a normed linear space with coordinate-wise operation. With coordinate-wise operation. and the norm is defined as. How the norm we were defining? Norm of ordered pair xy is defined as norm x plus norm of y provided x is in n and y is in n dash. Okay. Also prove that this norm induces product topology. I think you have seen product topology in general topology paper of second semester. Yes or no? Hello? Am I audible, students?
Yes, ma'am.
Am I audible? असं विचारल्यानंतरच म्हणणार का तुम्ही हा ऐकू येते? N cross N dash is complete if and only if both N and N dash are complete. Therefore, 3 points to prove in all in the theorem. Which are the 3 points? In the first point, we will show that this is a norm defined on the Cartesian product N cross N dash. To show that this is a norm defined, what one has to do? One has to verify the 4 conditions of norm. Correct now? Secondly, we will
Yes.
prove that this norm induces a product topology. The product topology I will not go in detail. We will show this is a product topology by showing that this is coordinate-wise convergence. Then lastly, one has to show n cross n dash is complete if both n and n dash are given to be complete. Let us proceed with the first step. Yes, what should I show in the first step? To prove that norm xy equal to norm x plus norm y is a norm on n cross n dash. Okay, again 4 conditions to be proved. Let us go one by one. What should I prove in the first condition?
Non-negative.
That is norm of a vector xy is non-negative. But what is the definition saying? Norm of ordered pair xy is norm x plus norm y, where x is in n and y is in n dash, but both the spaces are already nonlinear spaces. Therefore, may I say this implies norm x is non-negative, norm y is non-negative. What is the reason? N and n dash are itself the normed linear spaces. Therefore, if the two terms are non-negative, what about their addition?
Negative.
Non-negative. Therefore, may I say norm of xy is non-negative. First condition we have proved very easily. Okay. Let me go for the second condition. What to prove? Norm of xy is equals to 0 if and only
xy is equal to
xy equal to 0, 0 I am writing because it is the element of the Cartesian product. No. Okay. Now let me consider norm of a vector xy defined as norm x plus norm of y equal to 0. Now look at this. Already we have seen that norm x and norm y are the non-negative quantities, but we were writing the norm equal to 0. What is the meaning? Sum of two
norm x
non-negative
equal to 0,
terms.
norm y equal to 0.
Yes, therefore may I write this holds or seems I can write as norm x non-negative, norm y non-negative, comma above equation holds only if above equation holds if and only if I will write if and only norm x equal to 0 and norm y equal to 0. Therefore, may I write the above statement implies and implied by norm x equal to 0, norm y equals to 0. But since again the two spaces n and n itself nonlinear spaces, therefore let me write x is 0 and y is 0. Therefore, combinedly, may I say this vector xy is 0, 0.
Yes.
Yes. Third condition we will go for. Hmm. In the third condition, we have to go for triangular inequality. For triangular inequality, let me write the two elements. Let me write say x1, y1 and x2, y2. And what is the job to show? This is less equal by norm of x1, y1 and norm of x2, y2. Okay. Now, as the elements which we were writing x1, y1 and x2, y2 are the elements of n across n dash, therefore can I write x1, x2 are the elements of n and y1, y2 are the elements of n dash. Because anyhow we have to separate the elements of x and y, no? If I wanted to write the definition. Correct now? Norm x. Norm is taken separately for the elements of n, then separately it is for the elements of n dash. Okay, therefore I have written this. Therefore, what should I consider? I should consider the addition under the norm. Norm of x1, y1 added with x2, y2. How the addition is being performed? Initially, yes, it is coordinate wise addition. Therefore, can I write this as x1 plus x2, y1 plus y2? Coordinate wise addition. Is that okay? Coordinate wise addition we have followed. Now, what about the first element x1 plus x2? If both x1 x2 are in, what about this? Yes, this is an element of
And
n. What about this? y1 y2 are in n dash. Y1 plus y2 is in n dash. For how the norm will be evaluated? Define. How can I define this norm on n cross n dash? Yes, students?
Norm of
norm of
x1
x1
x2
plus
norm of
x2.
y1 plus y.
Very good. Norm of x1 plus x2 added with norm of y1 plus y2. Reason by definition of norm. Correct, no? Now, but already x1 plus x2 are in the nonlinear space n. y1, y2 are in the nonlinear space n dash. Therefore, may I use the triangular inequality here? Norm x1 plus norm x2 added with norm y1 plus norm of y2. Correct now? Reason I will write n and n dash are normed linear spaces, and which property we have used?
Third.
Using triangular inequality. Correct. Now later what I will do? I will collect x1 and y1 together. Norm x1 plus norm y1, and I will put the remaining terms in the other bracket. Norm x2 plus norm of y2. Let us reuse the definition. So may I write this as norm of x1 y1 added with norm of x2 y2. Is that okay? So may I say we have proved the triangular inequality. Okay. Now what remains to go for fourth condition of scalar multiplication property. If you want, you can write this statement again. I think it is better to write. We have proved less equal by norm of x1 y1 added with norm of x2 y2. Okay, let us go for the fourth property. Let's what is the fourth one? Norm of alpha xy. We wanted to show mod of alpha into norm of xy. Easier one, na? Fourth is always easier. Consider norm of alpha into xy. Okay, what one has to follow first? Can we take alpha here itself out?
No, ma'am.
No.
Multiply it.
Yes, we will multiply first. Alpha x, alpha y. Reason? Coordinate wise? Scalar multiplication. Correct? No? Now, if X is an element of n, what about alpha X? Element of n, and this will be an element of n dash. Therefore, how can I use a definition? Yes, how can I use?
Alpha x into norm of alpha
Very good. Norm of alpha X into your set
plus
plus norm of alpha Y. But again, these are itself the nonlinear spaces, n r n dash. Therefore, let us write the fourth property. Now take this mod alpha common. In the bracket we have norm x plus norm y, which is nothing but norm of this ordered pair xy. Okay, hence what we have proved, this norm is a norm defined on n cross n dash. Is it okay? Therefore, may I say n cross n dash is a non-linear space? Now we were going ahead to show that it's a Banach space. To show that it's a Banach space, we have to verify the completeness property. Okay. Before that, that product topology we have to show. Na? One statement we have in the theorem that it induces a product topology. Actually, to show that it induces a product topology, it is sufficient to show it is coordinate-wise convergence is followed. Okay. So we will write the coordinate-wise convergence, because coordinate-wise convergence we have proved many other times. Therefore, I am not going to repeat the coordinate-wise convergence concept here. Therefore, here I can say using the norm, we see that what we see, if we consider one sequence x and y and converges to xy, may I say this is if and only if xn converges to x and yn converges to y. If once we show this, it will be shown that whatever we have, this norm induces the product topology. Okay, and by looking at the definition of the norm, what is the norm we have defined? This is the norm now. Check. If I am saying this norm of x and yn tends to 0, which is norm xn plus norm yn, addition of two non-negative terms tending to 0, therefore may I say equivalently norm xn tends to 0, or instead of tends to 0 if it tends to xy, then here one can easily say norm xn tends to x, norm of xn minus x tends to x, so that we will get xn tends to x. Therefore we were not going to prove this. Many times we have proved it, right?
yes ma'am.
If I am not going to show it again, therefore we will just write, hence this norm induces product topology. Because we know every norm induces a metric induces a topology. Correct, no? Now
Yes,
in this
ma'am.
Cartesian product we have shown there is a norm. Therefore that norm is going to generate one topology called as product topology. Hence this norm induces a product topology. Why the name is product topology? Because this is defined on a Cartesian product. Okay. Next, we will go for the third step. In the third step, our aim is to show that this n cross n dash is complete if and only if both the spaces are complete. To prove that n cross n dash is complete if and only if n and n dash are complete. Okay, I will start with one part. I will try to show that n cross n dash is complete, assuming n and n dash is complete. Okay. Let us assume that n comma n dash are complete normed linear spaces, means Banach spaces. And what will be my aim to show? N cross n dash is complete. How we were showing the space is complete?
By taking Cauchy sequence, which will
Yes,
converge to semi.
very good. Therefore, here shall I consider the Cauchy sequence? Say xn, yn be a Cauchy sequence in n cross n dash. What is the definition of Cauchy sequence? Says that then for given epsilon greater than 0, there exists, say n naught is a positive integer I am writing. There exists this positive integer n naught such that, what such that? Norm of xn yn minus xm ym less than epsilon for mn greater equal by n naught, right now? Is it okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Norm of xm minus xn we were writing, but here this is in ordered tuple. Therefore, norm of xn yn minus xm yn less than epsilon. Let us follow coordinate wise operations first. What coordinate wise operation tells me? Is it xn minus xm, yn minus ym less than epsilon with the same condition? Okay, let us use the definition of a norm. If xn yn is a sequence, what kind of elements we have? X elements are in n. But what about this subtraction? Is it in n? This is in n dash. Right now, every time I am telling you this is in n, this is in n, this is in n dash. Because the definition tells us that separately you find the norm of elements of n, norm of elements of n dash, and you just make the Hello students, am I audible?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Due to the slow internet connectivity, I have left the meeting. I'll just restart. Yeah. Is the screen visible?
Yes, ma'am.
I think you have heard up to this Cauchy sequence definition, right? We have started with the Cauchy sequence x and yn. Cauchy sequence x and yn or n cross n dash, and then we have written the definition. Now here we have reached by using the definition, right? If addition of two non-negative terms less than epsilon, can I write individually the terms are less than epsilon?
Yes, ma'am.
But this is norm of xn minus xm less than epsilon and norm of yn minus ym less than epsilon with the same condition. Now look at this. By using this condition, may I say the sequence xn is Cauchy in the space n and yn is Cauchy in the corresponding space n dash, right? Therefore, can I write directly? Hence, the sequence xn and sequence yn are Cauchy sequence in n cross n dash and n and n dash respectively. But what we have started with an assumption, both these spaces are complete nonlinear spaces. Therefore, may I say they converge to some point in the same space. Okay, here I will write since n and n dash are complete, okay, which implies say xn converges to x naught in capital N and yn converges to say y naught in capital N dash. If it converges to x naught, with the help of norm definition, can I write norm of xn minus x naught less than epsilon? Okay, norm of yn minus y naught less than epsilon or some n greater or equal by capital N. Is it okay? Or n naught?
Yes.
Same symbol we will use n naught. Okay, what is the meaning then? Yes. If x naught here
X and yn converges to x naught y.
very good. Y naught is in n dash. Therefore, may I say combinedly this element x naught y naught is an element of n cross n dash. Now, what remains last to prove that the sequence x and yn, this sequence x and yn, it will converge to x naught y naught. Further, for proving this, what I will consider? I will consider the difference in the norm, and we will prove that it is less than by epsilon. Therefore, let me consider norm of x and yn minus x naught y naught, and our aim is to show this is less by epsilon. Correct? Tends to 0 or less than by epsilon, one and the same thing. Let me use the coordinate wise operation first. Let us use the definition then. Correct, no? But what the definition says? Norm of xn minus x naught. Now I will call this as statement number. Yes, what is the number I have given? Somewhere it is 1 I have given. From 2, both these terms are less than by epsilon, less than by epsilon. Addition will give us 2 epsilon. That what should be my adjustment?
Epsilon by 2 in equation 2.
Yes, epsilon by 2 let me make. And hence this is less than by epsilon by 2 plus epsilon by 2, which is less than by epsilon. With what we have proved? Norm of x and yn minus x naught y naught less than epsilon for all n greater than or equals to n naught. Okay. Therefore, this implies the sequence x and yn converges to x naught y naught in n cross n dash. Right? Therefore, may I say the space is complete? May I say the space is complete? Now, what one has to do? One has to go for the reverse part. In the reverse part, our assumption will be n cross n dash is complete. And the aim is to show n and n dash separately complete. What one has to do is simply reverse the steps. That is, we will start with n cross n dash is complete. This will be a situation. Both these two norms will be less than epsilon. Further, you can go. Therefore, you just reversing the above steps, you will get the reverse second part is true. Conversely, or converse is obvious. Converse is obvious by reversing the steps. By reversing the above steps. Hence the proof we were writing. We try for the reverse part. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Now let me go for the next point again. Closed linear transformation. Previously we have seen the mapping is open. Now we were defining the closed mapping. Closed linear transformation. How the mapping open is defined? It takes open sets to open sets. This is what open mapping defined. Na? Open mapping is defined as open sets to open sets. Now it's a time to define closed mapping. Can you guess?
Closed mapping. Closed set.
Closed set to closed set. But it was not exactly that closed set to closed set. It is defined as whatever the mapping T we were defining, say from D to N dash, this domain is closed. Domain is closed and the mapping is continuous. Domain is closed, mapping is continuous. Is that okay? It is not exactly it will take closed set to closed set. Is that okay? So closed mapping is domain closed, mapping is continuous. Let me write the definition. In the definition, it was given in some different language. We'll try to understand the language. Let n and a dash be normed linear space and D be subspace of n. D be subspace of n. Then linear transformation T from D to N dash is said to be closed if and only if. Now see, look at the conditions. If and only if xn belongs to D, xn tends to x, and txn tends to y imply. What it will imply? X is in D and y is equal to tx. X is in D and y is equals to tx. Okay, we will try to understand what it is trying to tell us. The mapping T defined from D to N dash, where D is no doubt a subspace of your nonlinear space N. Then for the elements xn in D, xn elements we were selecting such that xn converges to x and txn, the t images converges to y. Two types of sequences we have in our hand, which will imply that x is in D. What? See, look at this condition. Xn converges to x, x is in D. X is the limit point of D if xn converges to x.
Yes, ma'am.
And that limit point is in D itself. What kind of set it is?
Closed set.
This is closed set. Second condition. Txn converges to y. We have y equals to t of x. Therefore, may I say the condition becomes equivalent to Txn converges to tx.
Yes, ma'am.
Now look at xn converges to x implies txn converges to tx.
Continuous.
Is continuous. Therefore, this condition, whatever given, it will imply us two meaning. Okay, so this will imply two meaning: D closed and T is continuous. With the two conditions, one can say that the mapping D T is closed. The mapping T is closed. Is that okay?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now, by making use of this closed mapping, actually we were going to think of the graph of T is closed. The first theorem we were going to prove under this heading is whenever we have the mapping T is closed, if and only if its graph is closed. Okay, what the first theorem tells us? Whenever the mapping is closed, its set graph is closed. Closed is the two different concept we were using. First is T closed mapping. Second is T is closed set. Two different definitions. What the theorem tells us? T is closed mapping if and only if its graph is a closed set. That is what we wanted to show in the first theorem. Remember, this may come for your objectives. Okay. Let us write the first theorem. Let n and n dash be non-linear spaces and capital D is a subspace of capital N. Through that, linear transformation T defined from D to n dash is closed. Mapping 3 we were writing closed. If and only its graph is graph TG. TG is closed. So one may have a curiosity, na? What kind of relation is there? Mapping closed is related to the corresponding set. Graph set is closed. Correct now? How beautiful it is.
Yes,
How
ma'am.
beautifully the relation is constructed. Right now? सुंदर आहेत की नाही रिलेशन्स जे
Yes, ma'am.
डिफाइन केले so beautiful. Okay, the beauty will be understood if you understand it neatly. That is what a fact actually. म्हणून म्हणतात ना मॅथमॅटिक्स जोपर्यंत समजत नाही तोपर्यंत खूप अवघड आहे. आणि एकदा समजलं तर त्याच्या इतकं सोपा विषय आहे. बरोबर. Okay. Now we were going to build up the relation between mapping is closed and its graph set is closed. Okay. Let us go for first part. We will assume the mapping is closed and we'll try to assume the set graph is closed. Part 1, suppose that is closed linear transformation. What to prove? Yes, students, what to prove?
The graph TG is closed set.
Yes. How you are proving any set is closed? What is the idea of proving a set is closed?
By checking all its limit points.
Yes,
In it.
its limit points one has to check. If one should start with an arbitrary limit point and you have to show
It is in that set.
right. Okay, here also we will do the same thing. We will start with one limit point of the graph. Okay, and we will show that limit point is in the same set. Okay, let me write. Here should I write? It is enough to prove that it contains all its limit points. It is enough to prove that TG contains all its limit points. Let the ordered vector xy be limit point of TG. What is the meaning that xy is the limit point of TG? Yes? Limit point म्हणजे काय? X is the limit point of some set S. What is the meaning? Yes.
There exists a neighborhood which contains infinite points of TG.
Okay, this is one way. Or can I say there exists a sequence which converges to this point?
Yes, ma'am.
I can use anything. Na? Let me use a second. For here I will write, then there exists a sequence sequence of points in TG, shall I say?
Yes, ma'am.
What will be a sequence? Is it
X and Y and
X and T, X? In TG, I am saying.
yes, ma'am.
In TG. Therefore, the sequence type will be XN, TXN. Okay. Where XN is in D, na? Okay. There exists a sequence of point in TG where Xn is in D converging to XY. Right? But here we will write Xn, TXN converges to XY as n tends to infinity. If it's so, what about the norm relation? May I say norm of Xn, TXN
Less than epsilon.
less than epsilon or minus XY tends to 0?
Yes, ma'am.
One has to use as per our convenience, no? All the definitions we have in our hand. Therefore, this tends to 0. Let me use the definition. How the definition is being used? First, we have to go for coordinate-wise operation. What this coordinate-wise operation tells us? Xn minus x, txn minus y tends to 0 as n tends to infinity. What is the definition then? Is it norm xn minus x added with norm of txn minus y tends to 0. Addition of the two norms tending to 0. Therefore, may I say separately both the norms are tending to 0. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Therefore, here can I say xn converges to x and txn converges to y as n tends to infinity. But what is our assumption? T is closed linear transformation. T is closed linear transformation. Xn is in D. Xn tends to x. Txn tends to y. What it will imply? X is in D and y equal to T of x. Okay. Therefore, since T is closed linear transformation, T is closed linear. Therefore, may I write x is in D and Tx is equal to y. If x is in D and Tx is equal to y, what we have proved? What about this element xy? Whether it is in TG?
Yes, ma'am.
Hence, xy, this element, a limit point we have started with, no arbitrary limit point initially. Xy. This xy, I can write x tx, no? Because y is equal to tx. And if it is of the type x tx, it will belongs to
TG.
Therefore, we have started with an arbitrary limit point which belongs to the same set. Thus, the set TG is closed. Okay? Let us go reverse. Let graph TG is closed set. Graph TG is closed set, and our aim is to show that T is closed linear transformation. Okay. Now, if I wanted to show it is closed linear transformation, what should be my assumptions? This should be an assumption, no? Xn is in D, Xn tends to X, Txn tends to Y, and finally the aim is to show X is in D and Y equal to T of X. Let us do the same assumptions. For here, what can I assume? Let Xn is in D, Xn tends to X, and Txn tends to Y. Now look at these many things. If I look at these many things, what one has to show then to prove that x is in D and y equal to T of x. Okay. Now consider this x and t xn. Consider. Let me consider this as one point x and t xn. By coordinate wise converges, or before that, can I write this as a point in TG?
Yes, ma'am.
If it is a point in TG where this x and t xn converges to xy, coordinate wise convergence we have used product topology, right? Therefore, what can I say? Xy is limit pointer TG,
TG
but TG is
close.
closed. If TG is closed, what this xy will be in
TG
TG. If xy is in TG, what we have? What is the condition of xy is in TG? Let me write on this page itself. May I say x is in D and y is nothing but t image of
T
some
of
point x. Hence T is closed linear transformation. See how beautifully the relation between mapping is closed and its graph is closed. Okay. Yes, any difficulty with the proof?
no, ma'am.
Now we were going to the last theorem called as closed graph theorem. Okay. This is very important theorem. I don't think that I can cover whole theorem, but at least we can cover one part of the proof. Okay, let me write just a statement. Let B and B dash be Banach spaces and T be a linear transformation of B into B dash. And prove that T is continuous mapping if and only if graph is closed. Previously, what the theorem is saying? T is closed if and only if graph is closed. Now we were saying mapping is continuous if graph is closed. So this is actually an alternative condition for the mapping to be continuous. लक्षात येते का बघा? बी आणि बी डॅश बनाच स्पेसेस आहेत. टी वर एकच कंडिशन आहे लिनियरिटी. बरोबर आहे ना? लिनियरिटी एकच
Yes,
दिली
ma'am.
आहे. आणि थिअरम काय सांगतो? टी इज कंटिन्युअस इफ अँड ओनली इफ इट्स ग्राफ इज क्लोज्ड. Previous theorem tells us that T is closed mapping if and only if its graph is closed. Actually, T is closed mapping involves T is continuous. Right now, domain is closed and mapping is continuous. Domain is closed and mapping is continuous. Same fact we wanted to prove under closed graph theorem. Therefore, this theorem actually giving us a direct condition for the replacement of T is continuous mapping. Whenever you wanted to show the mapping is closed, it is sufficient for me to check its graph. And if the set graph is closed, mapping should be continuous, provided the mapping is linear. All these are the properties under linearity only. Correct, no? Let me go for one part of the proof. Only if part. What should be my assumption in only if part?
T is continuous mapping
Yes, please.
to prove that its graph is closed.
Okay. And what we wanted to prove that its graph is let T is continuous mapping and TGB its graph. Therefore, we wanted to prove that this TG is closed. This TG is closed And the proof is very similar to the first part of the proof. See, let us check what we have done in the first part. To show graph is closed, we have taken xy as a limit point of tg, right? Then there exists a sequence x and t, x and converging to xy. Then we have reached up to this step. And lastly, we have used these closed linear transformation. Instead of this closed linear transformation, I wanted to use linearity now. Sorry, continuity now. By using continuity, xn tends to x, may I say txn must tends to t.
T of y.
Yes, t of, sorry, xn tends to x, under continuity txn tends to tx. But already we have txn tends to y. Therefore, may I say y equal to t of x.
Yes, ma'am.
And if y is t of x, element xy is written as xtx, which belongs to tj, hence tj is closed. Therefore, the first part proof is very same. Right now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now what remains? To show the second part. I think I'll take 5 more minutes to complete. We have 5 minutes in our हॅलो.
Yes, ma'am.
येतोय आवाज? काही खरं नाही. ठीक आहे, आपण आज थांबूया. हा theoremचा मी जी थीम सांगितली ती लक्षात आली का सगळ्यांच्या? काल
Yes,
मी
ma'am.
सांगितलं हे लक्षात आलं का इथेपर्यंत मी सांगितलं होतं?
No,
हे
ma'am.
हे आलं का लक्षात? हे ऐकलंय का तुम्ही? आम्ही मीटिंग मधून बाहेर पडले होते.
No, ma'am.
हा, इथेपर्यंत प्राप्त झालं होतं. बी rearmed by norm1, we were going to call it as say B1. Okay, then we will define norm1 on T in such a way that T1 from B1 to B dash will be bounded. Norm define करताना कसा define करायचा की हा bounded आला पाहिजे. Bounded implies continuous. Therefore, T from B1 to B dash will be continuous. Later, actually aim is to define T from B to B dash is continuous. To show that T from B to B dash is continuous, it will be sufficient for us to observe homeomorphism between the two spaces B1 and B. Homeomorphism means the two spaces are topologically isomorphic. If the two spaces are topologically isomorphic, one can say T is continuous from B to B dash also, and hence which will be a proof. And to show that T is continuous from B to B dash, we were going to make use of Banach's theorem. Homeomorphism दाखवताना काय करावं लागेल? Banach's theorem वापरायचं. मगाशीच आपण प्रूव्ह केलं होतं Banach's theorem. Okay, this is a theme. We will prove it in the next lecture because it will take some 10-15 minutes to cover this point. Okay, let me stop here. In the next lecture, we were going to deal with the projection. Okay, I think you heard a word of projection previously.
Yes,
Can
ma'am.
anyone tell me what is projection?
Shadow.
Yeah, it's a kind of shadow. And that shadow we were going to define by using the mathematical function. Okay. And later on this orthogonal projection, we were going to check regarding Banach spaces. Okay. That we will see in the next lecture. Time being, let me stop here. If you have any queries in today's lecture, you can unmute yourself and ask. This last proof we will cover in the next lecture. It seems no difficulties are there. Okay, let me stop then. Thank you for watching this lecture.